Swanee, Nagafin, and Royalty. Excited to see these guys in action.
Yeah, without a doubt. I started on board with Swanee just because I pretty much ever loved the Swan Dog. And he started out on a 4-kill streak and basically allowed his team to get the first 29 seconds before it finally got broken. And definitely want to watch quite a bit of Royalty as well, just because I know nothing about him. I want to see how good he actually is. He's able to pick up a 3-piece though, so I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah, he picks up a pretty filthy 3-piece there as Epsilon jumps out to a huge lead at the start. You see Nagafin set up in the next hill with Swanee. He's not able to pick up one. Swanee still doing a nice job. Swanee using the ASM-1. Haven't seen Swanee use the SMGs a lot. I mean, mostly a stand-up AR player, but he's doing a nice job with the sub. And as I say that, somebody's going to auto-mental jump over, take him out. It's going to be FaZe pushing for that time as they are down a lot, Chance. Down 50 to 12 currently at this time in the game.
Definitely do want to point out, though, that that's exactly what we saw when it was Mutiny versus Propsy. And the hill spawns were the exact same as well. So both things were working out in tandem. And then, obviously, we saw on that blue hill, now would be FaZe's opportunity to make all of their comeback just on there to take just a barely lead to make it a tight game. So definitely don't want to count them out yet. Very, very early on. However, Epsilon is looking extremely strong so far, especially Royalty starting out 12-6, coming out very, very hot. And Nagafin as well, who I believe started out like 1-5, has begun to turn it around for Epsilon as well.
Yeah, Swanee's going to get one on rotation. Royalty with another. It's going to be Swanee up to try and break the blue hill. He's going to get taken out, so it's going to be FaZe in control of this one early. On board with Huke. He's going to take out one. Tons of players pushing over from purple. He's going to blow in the canisters, not able to get one. He's going to be trying to lock down the back, not able to pick up any kills in there. You see FaZe, though, they're watching it strictly from the hill. Last one in is Enable. He's going to be able to get one as two more players are going to jump in. He's not going to be able to get either of those. It's going to be FaZe now spawning out. You see Chance, you know, when you watch the hill from so close, it's hard to really control those spawns after you mostly, you know, end up losing the hill as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to be happening. However, Zuma and Huke in tandem are going to be striking right back. Zuma obviously picking up a 2-piece right there as Huke is going to come up behind him. So definitely a back and forth hill. Obviously, FaZe got the early control. It got broken, but they are able to strike back very, very quickly. However, still enough contest time was able to come in to enable, or not enable, Epsilon was able to maintain their lead going into this green plat hill, now being up by about 35 points.
Yeah, and I think Epsilon just does enough on that one, like contention-wise, to not really let FaZe back in the game. They're going to have to play much better on this next hill, though. It's going to be Swanee up top on green. Crane with the bow now. Swanee switching over, but it's going to be FaZe in complete control. Slasher on the hill. He's going to be able to get one. Not going to get the second. It's going to be Royalty jumping in and breaking that one. Starting off 18 and 12. Fantastic start. First time I'm seeing him in action. Definitely living up to the hype thus far. Swanee's going to pick up two. Going to try and lock this down with the bow.
Yeah, and not only is he now 19 and 13, he also has 5 caps to his name. So he's going to be the player putting the pressure on the hill. And obviously, when you're that guy and you're picking up a lot of kills for your squad, that's going to be absolutely huge. However, FaZe is starting to work their way back in this one a little bit. Obviously, now being only down by 37 points, and they do have control of the hill. But either way, they're just going to be fighting for momentum going into the next hill. Going to be down by a little bit more than, or a little bit less than 30 points. However, Epsilon does have control of this middle by a left point.
Yeah, Huke doing a nice job for FaZe. Going to be 17 and 13. He's going to jump into the hill, not able to pick up anyone yet. He's going to get one. He's going to have another player in front of him, able to take that player out. So Huke doing a nice job trying to break the hill for FaZe. It's going to be Swanee jumping in for Epsilon. He's going to be able to get one entry. Going to get another. He's in Enable. He's going to try and get another one in the hill. Not able to do so. Huke able to take him out. Looks like we're just going to have this hill being traded back and forth, but it's going to be FaZe doing a nice job coming back so far in this game.
Yeah, but without a doubt, just completely contest heavy. I think for like 95% of this hill, no one's going to be able to get too many points. However, FaZe was able to score about 4 points right there. 4 grand total points before Epsilon's able to work their way back in. Zuma, though, going to get a 2-piece, and then Slasher and Huke going to clean up the remaining 2 players in Remy and Swanee. So, again, able to get quite a few points more than I would normally expect on this hill. Now reducing the deficit, they're actually going to be able to tie up this game after the first set of rotation. So, extremely close game, about as close as it could possibly be. Only going to be a 4-point differential going into this green square hill.
It's starting to get scary, though, for Epsilon, though, I think, Chance. You know, this FaZe team, the only other team I have this kind of feeling with is Optic Gaming, is that, you know, they're eventually going to start to get rolling. Like, you have to get a large enough lead that, like, by the time they get rolling, like, it's just too late. And I don't know if Epsilon has done that. And they don't know if they put enough room in between themselves and FaZe, because it seems like FaZe really is starting to pick it up in the slaying department. Everyone starting to have a pretty good game. Slasher, they're bottom in the slaying department, 17 and 19. Everyone else doing a fantastic job for FaZe. On the flip side for Epsilon, you see Swanee, 20 and 18 on your screen. Gonna try and break it from ice, not able to do so. It's gonna be Huke locking down this alleyway, able to pick up 3 players. Huke dominating 27 and 18. Do you expect anything less? I mean, the guy is just an animal.
No, not at all. Huke at the start of the game, immediately became one of my favorite players to watch, just because, he was one of the first I saw completely master the movement of Advanced Warfare, and since then, he hasn't really slowed down at all. Consistently, he puts up pretty solid numbers all the time. Definitely a player to look out for, as always. FaZe, though, probably going to lose the lead right now, as Epsilon does have that early rotation. I take that back, but either way, still a very close game, but I have to agree with you, FaZe. At some point, they're never going to let up on the gas pedal. You have to play consistently the entire time. If you start making mistakes, FaZe is going to be able to run you over. Epsilon has done a pretty solid job thus far, though, but I think you're right. FaZe at some point will just take this one away.
Yeah, Epsilon's done a very nice job, actually. They're still in the lead, not by much. Looks like we'll probably head into blue with the teams about even. So looks like Epsilon's going to push this one more time, but it's going to give FaZe a chance. If any of the guys on FaZe drop, it's going to give them an interesting spawn for this next hill. We'll see where Slasher and Zuma come up on spawn. As you see, Enable's going to drop as well. You see where they do spawn. It's going to be over by Elbow. Now it's just going to be a race over towards this blue hill. Royalty's going to be in first for Epsilon. He's going to be able to pick up 1. It's going to be Remy trying to get this one back. He's going to be able to take out a player. Not able to hold it down, though. It's going to be FaZe in control of this one, and that could really be the game. With 20 seconds left, Epsilon had a chance to all set up for this blue hill. They decided to push for that Eskies, and now, unless they break this early, this one could entirely go to FaZe. But you see Epsilon, they're going to pick up 4 kills, take it back with a quickness. That is huge for Epsilon, as you see Royalty is going to be pushing out, trying to get these far cuts.
Yeah, without a doubt. And now you see 3 different players for Epsilon going on either a 2 or 3 streak. Royalty continuing to lead. Again, he has the most caps for his team, as well as leading them in the slaying category, playing extremely well. He is going to get taken down, though. Now at one point, all 4 players from FaZe were in the hill, obviously putting on as much pressure as they possibly can to break it. And that's exactly what they do. Now they're going to potentially be able to get this lead back once again. Very back and forth game. I think we've seen the lead switch about 7 or 8 times as well. But Epsilon, again, doesn't need to try and break this hill. They just need to set up for this green plat and get that early control and lock it down as much as possible. Obviously, being down by about 5 points now, but if they set up properly, they should be able to work their way back in this one. However, FaZe is coming in very strong from that blue side. Slasher, once again, going to be your player in the hill. He's stunned completely out of his mind and eventually is going to get taken down. But at the very least, very scrappy. No teams are flanking right now, just both pushing as hard as they can. And the team that's doing that has the better slaying power, is going to come out on top. And you see that's exactly going to be the case, as FaZe is going to be able to get the control down.
Yeah, FaZe starting to pull away a little bit. You see they've done a nice job controlling the last 2 hills. Royalty picking up a nice 2-piece. He's going to open it up for his teammates a little bit. He was behind enemy lines, putting that pressure on. Remy, he's going to drop as well. Swanee's going to spawn so far away from the hill. It's interesting, only 15 seconds left in this, but I think Epsilon needs to at least push it. Swanee, he's going to come around from behind, trying to pick up the player in the hill, not able to do so. It's going to be 30, a little bit more than 30 points going into this next hill in the favor of FaZe. See if they can do anything with it. Exactly 30 points going into the next hill. It's going to be very difficult for Epsilon to come back.
Yeah, obviously we talk about it all the time. It's extremely contest heavy, very hard to lock down. We have seen it before, though, where teams are able to completely slay out just out of nowhere in the final seconds of the game. However, it looks like FaZe is not going to allow that to happen, putting way too much pressure in the hill. They're having at least 2 players in it at all times, and even on this hill, they're just continuing to increase their lead, and I think that's already going to do it. That is going to be your game. FaZe coming out on top.
Yeah, Slasher goes on a 7 streak at the end there, and you see how dominant of a player he is. We talked that, starting off a little bit slow, then made a massive comeback. He's going to finish on top of the squad, 39 and 30. Have Huke 37 and 30. Very impressed with what I saw from Royalty. He's going to finish, looks like 37 and 40, but still, fantastic game, putting all that pressure on the hill for this Epsilon team. Swanee and Nagavent come up with some big kills. They're probably able to take this first map.
Yeah, and even then, if I was Epsilon, I might be okay with honestly dropping the first hard point. You're going against a team with FaZe, and FaZe pretty much only loses the hard points to Opti Gaming for the most part. So to even keep it that close, to me, I would be okay with that. That would be fine going into map number 2. A little bit of momentum in your pocket, and especially Royalty having a very good game. Despite being negative, I have to agree, he was putting all the pressure he could on the hard points. But still, I don't know. Not number 2. We'll see.
Yeah, still, needed more on Nagafen. 25 and 36. A pretty rough go there in map number 1. Elevate actually loses to SB, so that's going to set up an SB versus Optic Nation match. Give you updates on that one, as well as the rest of the matches going on in the 5K. But when we come back from this quick commercial break, we FaZe versus Epsilon, game number 2. Stay tuned.